Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Holistic Health Radio. I'm your host, Sarah Liz King. I'm an exercise physiologist and health coach, empowering you to find your healthy balance with food, fitness, and your body. Through my one-to-one and group coaching programs, both myself and my team help women regain their periods, find food freedom, and have a healthier relationship with exercise, all while gaining body confidence. Now, in today's episode of the podcast, I am going to talk about apps. We all know our smartphones are our best friends, and we probably spend a touch too much time on them. So, I am going to be chatting through 5 apps that we need to delete and cut out of our lives if we are working on a healing journey, such as an eating disorder recovery journey or recovery from hypothalamic amenorrhea, and also 5 different apps that you can download to enhance your recovery. Like I mentioned before, it's no secret that the world is kind of overflowing with lots of different kinds of apps, promising us the world at our fingertips. But when it comes to the apps that we want to be choosing, it's really important to be very selective because they can either be roadblocks to our recovery or stepping stones. So I'm going to start first with the apps that you need to completely ditch in order to enhance and move your recovery journey forward. The first one is going to be no surprise to you. So the very first app that you definitely need to delete is MyFitnessPal. All right, let's kind of talk about these sneaky calorie counting apps like MyFitnessPal and why we should give them the boot altogether during our recovery journey. Now, I know some of us might have relied on these apps at some point, thinking that they were our ticket to health and to control in some way. But here's the thing, they can actually do more harm than good when it comes to healing our relationship with eating disorders, disordered eating, or hypothalamic amenorrhea. So, first things first, these apps can become an obsession. They feed into that dangerous mindset of constantly need to monitor and kind of like manage every morsel of food that enters into our bodies. It's kind of like having a bit of a virtual food police in a way that is right in our pockets, ready to kind of pass judgment on every meal and every snack that we have. And this constant scrutiny can keep us really trapped in a cycle of guilt and shame and anxiety around food, making it incredibly challenging to kind of develop a healthy relationship with food and with eating. Plus, apps like MyFitnessPal come with preset calorie targets or targets based on generic formulas. But guess what? We are not generic. Our bodies are unique. They have different needs, they have different metabolisms, and relying on these calorie amounts that have these like one size fits all targets can lead us down a very dangerous path of restriction, over exercise, or really just ignoring our body's own natural cues, like our hunger cues. It's like kind of like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Like it just doesn't work. Our bodies are not robots. They are not simple formulas. They are complex, living and breathing things that have ever changing, ever evolving needs. So those calorie kind of counts that it sets for you, first of all, they kind of create a calorie ceiling where you feel like you can't go above them. Second of all, they're not reliably accurate. So best to ditch them altogether. Now, another reason why calorie counting apps like MyFitnessPal can be hugely detrimental to our recovery is that they set a whole new set of rules for us, leading us again down this like very, very dangerous path of being even more rigid with our eating patterns. If you want to picture it, kind of picture this, like imagine a day where you have, I don't know, you eat fewer calories than usual and you're able to kind of get through that day. you don't feel too hungry, and you don't feel too fatigued. You feel pretty okay. And then suddenly this day sets a precedent, right? In your mind, you're like, well, if my body was able to get through that day on that amount of energy, well, then it can definitely get by on that amount of energy for every single day moving forward, which is simply not true. What we don't want is for an app to become another rule book, another strict rule book that dictates exactly how much you should eat and what your macro split should be for everything. And there's no room for any flexibility or enjoyment when everything becomes about numbers, which is what apps like MyFitnessPal definitely reinforce. Now, I know a lot of people often start counting calories because they've been told, you know, if I want to quote unquote get healthy, it's a matter of calories in and calories out. And so they just think that they are learning a healthy, helpful nutrition habit. But if you have that kind of predisposition to kind of perfectionism, type A personality, and disordered eating, the, I guess, downloading of an app like MyFitnessPal can snowball into a pattern of restriction where you feel super compelled to constantly eat fewer and fewer and fewer calories, even if your body is crying out with so much hunger to get more nourishment. You might also start ignoring your hunger signals, which is a big kind of red flag clue that things are not so great with your relationship with food. It might override your cravings because you might look at how many, macros or calories you have left and go like, oh, that doesn't quote unquote fit, and push yourself beyond these kind of limits in pursuing this calorie goal that is incredibly inaccurate. So it is a bit of a slippery slope that can really further exacerbate a kind of disordered eating tendencies or an eating disorder, and also prevent you from truly healing your relationship with food if you are on a recovery journey. So the trick is to let go and delete these apps, which I know is easier said than done. But when you do finally delete the app, even though there might be some initial anxiety because you've relied on it for so long to be that reassurance tool that you're either quote unquote eating enough, or more often than not eating too much, you'll start to have to kind of think for yourself around, do I need this amount of food, or am I hungry for this amount of food, or is this amount of food my body needs? But it also allows you to rebuild trust with your body and listen to its cues and focus on other elements of food beyond just the calorie amount that's in them, which again is so important for allowing us to heal our relationship with food. We start to find joy in eating again. We start to focus on the balance between foods that are really, nourishing and nutritious for our body, but also those foods that are really soul fulfilling and feel good as well. And we don't have that guilt and shame associated because, again, we're not typing it into an app and critically analyzing everything at every single moment. So I know it's really tough, but if you are someone that feels like you are tied in closely to a calorie counting app like MyFitnessPal, I very strongly urge you, delete it. Let it go. It'll be hard for the first little bit, but then over time, you'll start to learn to nourish your body and get enough fuel without needing to always enter it into an app. Now, we have done other episodes on how to make sure you are getting enough nutrition in if you have let go of calorie counting, because I know sometimes people go the other way and they really mistrust all of their hunger signals, or they don't exist. Those hunger signals don't exist. So definitely check out, and I'll put a link in the show notes, the episode on how to make sure you're eating enough without tracking calories. And then we've done another specific episode on actually how to let go of calorie counting. So some of the essential steps and tools that you can use if you want to cut this one out of your life completely. And again, I'll link both of those episodes in the show notes for you. So that is the first app you need to delete if you are on a recovery journey. Now, The second one that you need to delete is the step counter app, right? This can be found if you have an iPhone, kind of in our health app. And then also it kind of goes without saying, this is also on people's Garmin's, fitness watches, Apple watches, all of those kinds of things. Now, why is the step counter or the health app detrimental to a recovery journey? Well, it kind of feeds into that same mentality as the calorie counting app. It can be harmful for individuals who are recovering from eating disorders, disordered eating, hypothalamic amenorrhea. Now, the biggest kind of thing that I see is people saying like, but oh, I need the step counter because I need to be hitting this many steps in a day, and that's really important for my well-being. But here's the thing, for most people who are on a path on a recovery journey, these apps can become yet another roadblock because it's just fueling that obsession with I must, I need to, and I have to hit this certain number of steps each day. Or if I don't, bad things will happen. And it often kind of ties into that like earn and burn mentality and keeps us really, really stuck. Even on days where our bodies might be incredibly fatigued and screaming for rest, or we are so busy that we work really, really hard to squeeze in this physical activity or make ourselves get up so early when it's really not good for our well being to be doing that. And also kind of sets this precedent that maybe if we allow ourselves to eat certain things, then we have to hit certain exercise marks. And again, reinforces that I either need to earn the food that I'm about to eat or burn it off as a consequence of eating. If you don't know the exact number of steps that you're doing a day, it also allows you to focus on different aspects of your relationship with exercise. When you go for a walk, it means just enjoying the walk, enjoying the scenery around you, or the podcast that you're listening to, or the playlist that you just made for yourself, or how beautiful it is in your surroundings, instead of constantly checking to see where you're at in terms of the number that you are on stepwise and where you want to get to. So that is the second app that you definitely need to ditch. And there's probably one more reason why I think it's helpful to ditch them, which I haven't mentioned, which is similar to kind of that calorie counting element where, if your body is able to kind of, I guess, get by on like a small number of calories in a day and you feel fine. It can be the opposite with steps. If you're like, oh, but I did this many more steps in a day and I felt fine, again, it can set that precedent like that's the new number that I have to get to every single day. And we know that incidental movement has a huge impact on our body's ability to kind of use the food that we're taking in to then re-nourish our body and kind of optimize all of its functions. So if we are trying to weight restore or trying to recover our period or simply trying to get to a place where our body feels a little bit better, we actually have to let it use the nutrition that we're eating to go towards, I guess, prioritizing those other healthy kind of systems and processes that need to be taking place in our body, not covering the cost of exercise. So delete the health app off of your phone, off of your watch, take your tracker off. That's a big one. And just allow yourself to really be mindful with the physical activity that you're doing, because it will be so much more beneficial than always trying to like hit a new number every single day with your steps. Now, the third app that you need to get rid of, delete, this is going to be controversial, is Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And you might be watching said video on one of those apps, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. Now, social media is a double-edged sword. We know that it can be a great place to find community and connection with other people that might be going through a similar journey as you are. But the flip side of that is it can always be a really dangerous space with so much misinformation and harmful messaging. if you think about the what I eat in a day videos and the endless high intensity workouts and the if you train like me, then you'll look like me mentality, all of that messaging might be reinforcing some of the unhelpful beliefs that you are trying to let go of on your recovery journey. I know that social media can also be a great place of motivation and finding inspiration and education and connection. But I think the thing here is allowing yourself to have a little bit of time off, knowing you can always come back to those apps at any point in time, whether it be a couple of days, a week, maybe an entire month. See if you notice a difference in how you feel and how you're going with your own recovery when you take a little bit of a break from always looking at what other people are doing, because a lot of it ends in comparison. And we know that comparison can be so damaging and really makes us lose our own confidence in what we're doing on our own recovery journeys, whether that be what we're eating, how much exercise we're doing, or whether we've decided to take a rest because we know that's the best thing for us. The body size and shape that we recover into, that can be a huge point of comparison because we even might see other accounts where people have supposedly recovered and we go, oh, like, well, my body doesn't look like that. And why is that? And why do I, have to deal with so many different changes when this person was, able to get their period back at a different size or able to get their period back while doing much more exercise. And it just adds to that frustration and self-loathing that we definitely don't need. So my biggest tip is to take a break, delete it, have some time off, and then when you do come back to it, be really mindful about the kind of content you are consuming, how it's making you feel, and the total amount of time that you are spending on the apps, because it's not really enriching your life as much as you think it is, even though it is a great way to spend some time. There are many more beneficial ways to be spending your time, like reading, journaling, spending time with people that you love. The list is endless. So we're going to either take some time off social media or delete the apps altogether. Now, the fourth app that you need to be deleting if you are working on healing your relationship with food, exercise, working on eating disorder recovery, or hypothalamic amenorrhea recovery is a group of apps, and this is fitness apps. Now, I know a lot of people out there will probably be trauma bonded with me over the Calorie scenes, like bikini body guides. Back before apps existed, there were PDF workout programs, which still exist, but now a lot of them are in app form. And don't get me wrong, fitness apps can be like a very valuable resource for those people who are seeking kind of guidance and structure in their workouts. But for people on a path to healing, these apps can be very dangerous and often fuel a harmful cycle of obsession and kind of pushing us further away from the well-being that our body needs and the rest that our body needs. And a lot of fitness apps are based on kind of programs and promises and outcomes of getting fitter, stronger, faster. And again, all of those things are great, but we have to remember that they are not personalized to our own unique circumstances. So they might be the right solution for some people, but for a lot of people who are more prone to over exercising and not listening to their own body's cues, again, they can lead us down a dangerous path. And kind of the other thing is, a lot of them place this huge emphasis on fitness having an outcome that affects our physical appearance, which really ties exercise being something that has to change our body versus what we know about exercise is exercise being something that's really enjoyable and has a plethora of different benefits. And when we do it, we can do it for a wide range of outcomes that aren't necessarily related to our physical appearance. Another thing about these apps or kind of those PDF workout programs is they're often really high intensity. especially the ones that are like, we don't need any equipment. They often rely on lots of plyometric or like jumping exercises, lots of cardio intervals, lots of circuit style workouts, which are simply not appropriate if you are working on hypothalamic amenorrhea recovery, or you are working on eating disorder recovery and trying to weight restore or simply heal your relationship with exercise. So if you want to get back to a place of balance, and you also want to incorporate fitness into what you're doing in your recovery journey, then I think it's really important that you get a personalized approach to your fitness, similar to a personalized approach to your nutrition, because what your body will be able to tolerate will be wildly different. But also, it gives you a beautiful sounding board to discuss kind of, you know, your fears around starting to take rest days, your worries around decreasing the volume or the intensity of the exercise that you are doing, so that you actually have a space to challenge some of those unhelpful thoughts and belief systems. So when that you get to a place of being fully recovered, or even throughout the recovery process, when you're engaging with exercise, you're being really mindful of the intentions that you have behind why you're moving that, why you're deciding to move your body that particular day, and knowing that it's not for the sole purpose of needing to change your body or the fear of what will happen if you don't do this amount of exercise today, or not being the strongest version of yourself and what that means about your identity. Being able to really challenge those thoughts is going to be equally as helpful as is getting the personalized approach, which says this is the kind of exercise that you should be doing, and then the amount and intensity that is right just for you. So delete the apps and the PDF workout plans for now. And if you are wanting to engage with movement, seek advice from a qualified professional, get your own personalized plan, and also be able to have those healthy discussions around kind of what your beliefs are around exercise and how you can start to shift and change those. Because I feel so much of the time we spend so much talking about our relationship with food that our relationship with exercise often gets missed out on, but it is a key part of the recovery process as well. Now, the next app that I'm going to talk about may not be one that you've ever heard of. It's definitely not one that I had heard of before. It is called Vora. Now, Vora is actually a fasting app, and it helps individuals kind of track their fasting schedules and monitor their progress. It offers like a variety of different features, different types of protocols, um, and like talks about intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, extended fasting. And the thing that was really unique, or is really unique with Vora, is like users can set their fasting and eating windows, and it allows them to kind of track the duration of all of these things. It provides that visual representation. And there's also a community aspect, right? So it allows you to connect with other users who are following similar protocols. And it allows you to kind of share experiences, find motivation, all of that kind of thing. Now, intermittent fasting has gained huge amounts of popularity as a way to kind of regulate eating patterns and promote weight loss. For people in recovery, it is the worst. We know that fasting predisposes people to disordered eating tendencies more than any other eating behavior. It definitely increases your risk of binge eating significantly. And if you're using one of these apps and there's this community aspect, again, there's that huge element of comparison and maybe even competition with how long people can go without food. And I think this app probably reinforces like a huge diet culture message, particularly for women, that somehow eating as little as possible makes you a better person, which is entirely false and a huge myth. So, any kind of app that is going to take you away from having a regular pattern of eating that is adequate for you is needing to get deleted and go. off your phone. We really want to be focusing on eating enough. And I think the language that we use when we're in recovery is so important because so many people are like, oh, I'm eating quote unquote too much. In reality, you're probably at a time in your life where you were eating very little. And eating enough is what we should always be aiming for throughout our entire lives. Eating enough is something that we can always adhere to because we know enough is going to be changing day to day, week to week, depending on what we're doing with our lives and what our body is requiring. So, delete any app that is telling you exactly when you should eat, what you should eat, and really start focusing on educating yourself with what nourishing amounts of food are and learning what eating enough for you is, which you're probably going to have to invest in some professional guidance for that, whether that is a coach or a dietitian or a nutritionist that specializes in recovery from eating disorders or hypothalamic amenorrhea. That is going to be your best place to start. So those are the 5 apps that you need to delete. The MyFitnessPal app. You definitely need to be deleting that step counter app. You definitely need to be deleting or at least limiting social media, so Instagram, TikTok, all of that. And then what was the last one that we spoke about? Fitness apps. That was the one that I spoke about next. And the last one was any kind of apps like the intermittent fasting apps. Now, we are going to talk about the apps that you should download that will actually enhance your recovery, because these are going to be equally helpful because we know we're all glued to our phones. At least we can use them for the greater good. So the first one is one of my personal favorites, one that I use with clients day in, day out, is an absolute game changer, and it is Recovery Record. Now, all of these apps that I'm recommending, I actually have no financial gain or benefit from talking about them. They are all tools that have either helped me or helped my clients, which is why I'm talking about them. So, Recovery Record is an eating disorder based app. It is absolutely fantastic for any and all eating disorders, and it offers a range of different features, including a diary that you can record all of your meals and snacks in. It asks you about your thoughts and your feelings. It asks you about any disordered eating behaviors or urges that you're having. And we can also keep track of objective data. So, using different questionnaires over a period of weeks and months to see how you progress in the cognitive changes that are happening as you go on your own recovery journey. Now, one of the really great features of this app is the inbuilt coping strategies that it has at your fingertips when you are struggling. So when you record something and it kind of picks up or flags that maybe you're having a difficult time, it'll give you a range of different coping mechanisms that you can choose from and use in the moment, which I love. Another feature which is hugely beneficial is the connection that you get with your clinicians. So whenever I'm using this app with a client and they're recording thoughts, feelings, their food, taking photos, leaving notes, I get to see all of their logs, and I go in and I make little notes and I say, this is great, super proud of you, really good effort, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Or if I notice things that aren't kind of as in alignment as they could be, I'm making notes like, this is really good, I would add this, or I would do this differently next time, which again just helps them learn along the way about what they can do. And between sessions, we're getting so many more touch points where they can keep kind of improving on things to make sure that they are nourishing their body adequately for their own recovery needs. So that is the first app that I would definitely recommend. Now, the second app that I would recommend is one called Mood Kit. So Mood Kit is an excellent app for individuals in recovery from eating disorders or disordered eating or HA, and it offers, again, a wide range of tools. But the first one that is really, really helpful is Mood Kit provides a mood tracker tool, right? And this allows us to kind of log and track our daily moods and our emotions and our activities, which can be incredibly helpful in identifying patterns and also triggers that can impact our mental well-being, maybe disordered eating behaviors. So, by kind of gaining this insight into our own emotional state and patterns over time, we can actually better understand the connections that we have between our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors and how they relate to our recovery. So, whether you use an app like this or whether you journal to kind of get some insight into your own patterns, I think that can be a really helpful tool and way to go. Now, third app to add into your phone is a really simple one called Breathe, Relax, and Focus. Now, you can imagine from the name of this app what it is focused on. Now, it provides a range of kind of guided breathing exercises tailored to our own kind of unique needs. These can involve kind of intentional and rhythmic breathing patterns. It has visual cues, it has calming sounds, and engaging in these exercises can be hugely helpful to help us connect with our bodies, activate that relaxation response, and bring a sense of calm to both our mind and our bodies. I find with a lot of individuals who are working with me, one of the aspects that often comes up in recovery is how stressful the actual process of recovery is and how tense their body can feel and how much is just happening for them cognitively, which can feel kind of exhausting in a way. And engaging in meditation or mindful breathing is a way to kind of give ourselves little breaks in the day from how busy our minds are and how tense our bodies can feel. Slowing down, even if it's for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and doing some simple breathing exercises can actually act as a beautiful reset for ourselves so that we can tackle the next thing that we either have to do in the day or the next thing that we are facing recovery wise, and do it from a really calm and peaceful place. So, whether you choose to use that app or a different breathing app, I think a breathing app can be game changing during the recovery process. The fourth one. The fourth one is kind of like, I guess, a little bit of an irony considering that I were like, delete all fitness apps, because the fourth one is an app called Train Heroic. Now, Heroic can be really, really helpful for individuals with eating disorders, disordered eating HA, if it's used in a very personalized way, right? So, this is the app that we use for our clients who are doing our personal training program, online personal training program called Better Balance Training. And the app essentially delivers your specified workout program given to you by either myself or Elise or whoever you are working with using this app with. And it outlines reps, sets, type of exercise, and it also checks in with you through other unique ways. So even before you exercise, it is asking you a readiness questionnaire. So it's asking you about your stress levels and your energy levels and how well you slept, whether you've eaten enough, whether you've had, enough to drink, so that you can assess whether, even if, you do have a prescribed workout that day, whether it is a good thing to be doing that exercise that day or whether you're going to shift it to another day. The second thing that makes Train Heroic so helpful is the fact that you have that one-to-one contact with your coach. You can send them a message, you can leave them notes on your workout, you can send them videos to help you improve your form. So it really is about that coaching aspect regarding exercise and also getting really curious about your intentions and how you're going with your relationship with exercise. So if you are someone that's like, I'm really keen to move my body during recovery, but I want to do it in a really healthy way, then definitely look into a more personalized aspect to your exercise, because that can be hugely beneficial for both you in terms of doing the right amount for your body, the right intensity for your body, getting that sounding board to have a healthy relationship with exercise, And then also that coaching aspect, improving your form, your technique, focusing on other things not necessarily related to always having to lift harder or heavier every time, because that's not the only benefit that you get from moving your body. Now, I did kind of lie a little bit when I said the 5 apps to delete and the 5 to download to improve your recovery journey, because there are actually only 4 that I wrote to download, but that's okay. If you are spending, I guess, hours and hours on your phone, maybe the last one that needs to happen is just putting your phone down and going out to explore the big wide world, because even though our phones can be such a blessing, they can also take us away from what it actually means to live our life, connection with the people that we love, doing fun activities, and being in the real world. So take today as a helpful reminder that technology can really enhance our recovery journey. And also, if we're spending too much time on our phone or engaging in things that can cause comparison or kind of keep us stuck in a cycle of rigidity and disordered behaviors, that maybe it's best to kind of delete those apps, move away from them completely, and get that personalized guidance and support that you might need to improve your relationship with food and exercise and your body. So, I'm going to leave this episode here for today. If you really enjoyed it, be sure to take a screenshot wherever you're listening. You can tag myself at Sarah Liz King, and I'll be sure to reshare all of those on my stories. But until next time, keep looking after yourselves, and I will be back next week with a fresh new episode you can wrap your ears around or watch the visuals of now, because we are now on YouTube. If you are listening to this, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. But yes, keep looking after yourselves, and I'll be back next week with a fresh new episode for you all to enjoy.